student loans are piling up for millions of young people across the country. We'll talk about the burden on young professionals.
And Maryland legislators are changing the state's marijuana laws. We'll talk about the growing national trend toward decriminalization. District Wire News starts right now. Hello, welcome to District Talk, a special political show by District Wire News. I'm Ray Daniel.
And I'm Balbina Herman. Today we're going to be discussing the top issues affecting young voters in the district. A new Gallup poll shows more young people are moving to the Democratic Party. We'll talk to an AU student and professor about the trend. Then we'll discuss immigration reform. The DREAM Act could become a reality for many immigrants in the United States. Finally, we'll take a look at the national trend in marijuana decriminalization as legislators are changing in Maryland and D.C.
But first, we're going to talk about student loans. Millions of young people are graduating with thousands of dollars in debt. Monica Thomas is here, and she's been speaking to young people about their student loans.
Hi, Ray. While student loans are rough on everyone, some states have it worse. Washington, D.C., New Hampshire, Maine, Iowa, and Vermont have much higher student loan debt than other states. Today, I spoke with students attending American University in D.C. about their student loans. Millions of Americans are buried in student loan debt. The current outstanding balance for federal student loans is over $1 trillion.
Exactly. Like my sister also has to take out student loans, and she's in her late 20s, and she's still making payments and like apartment and everything. So it's definitely a stress.
With nearly $150,000 in student loan debt, graduate student Jeff Stallnicker has a plan to pay them off. Stallnicker and his wife will use one income to pay off the loans and the other to live off of.
I think that if it continues this way, education is going to become something that is expected of people, but at the same time is not going to be affordable. And with that said, I think that it's going to become an element that damages the economy and pulls the country down. In other countries where education, the way my wife describes it, it's free. I mean, it's not free, but it's a right to have education. And we, in the United States, we say we have a right to education, but we have a right to elementary education and a high school education. But in today's world, there's more of an education required to really make a difference in the world.
In America, there is a saying that education is free, but stops at higher education. So is college an investment everyone is willing to pay for?
And everything that I got at AU, that it was something that I think is worthwhile, but that's obviously something that I'm going to be paying for quite a while now, that if I'm going to potentially be 40 and still paying for my undergrad.
Some American university students agree that education is going to become something that is expected of people, but is not going to be affordable. For District Wire News, I'm Monica Thomas. Back to you.
Student loans seem to be a huge burden on students. We have Derek and Ursula here. Derek Weiss is a recent grad student and advocate of student loan reform, and Ursula is the founder of Capital Standard Magazine for Young Professionals. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so first let's take a look at some student loan statistics. Currently, over $1 trillion in student loan debt are in the United States. To get an idea of that, in 2005, average student loans were over $17,000. 10 years later, they were $27,000. What do you think, Derek, about these numbers, and how have they personally affected you?
These numbers are very staggering, and it can be very heartbreaking and very agonizing when you think about after you finish college, how are you going to pay for these students' loan, and how are you going to get out of debt?
Okay, and Ursula, were you personally affected by student loans?
Absolutely. I'm a first-generation college student, and my parents didn't have an opportunity to go to college, and so I definitely had to depend on student loans to go. And I think a lot of students don't understand that student loans are a business, and they're here to make money. And so that's why it's so easy when you go, you're a young student, you just sign your name on the dotted line, and you don't even think about the thousands and thousands of dollars that are behind these signatures and these simple papers to apply for.
And you guys are still paying off your loans currently?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Ursula, how has Capital Standard Magazine spread the message about preventing the overwhelming struggle of student debt?
Young professionals are dealing with so many things at this moment. We're dealing with kind of trying to figure out who we are, and then at the same time, you're about to graduate from college and you need to find a job. So Capital Standard Magazine is all about helping young professionals figure out the kind of professional world. A lot of people are graduating with college degrees, and like one of the students in the video said, they're not even really sure it's worth it, because I don't think they understand what it really takes to get a job. It's not just about an education. So it's about actually knowing how to perform, and students think, let me just educate myself and then that will get me a job, and we're finding that so many people are educated. We have the most educated generation in history, and we're not getting jobs. So why is that? So not only letting them know kind of the pitfalls of student loans, but also once you graduate, here's how to get a job so that you can eventually pay off these student loans.
Perfect. Okay. And Derek, there are several federal programs that have helped students pay their loans off, like loan forgiveness and pay as you earn. Have you taken advantage of these programs yourself?
I have not taken advantage of these loans myself because I'm still in school. Trying to get my education, but I do advocate for students to take advantage of these type of loan programs. I know that there's programs out there for people that's in the education field where you can maybe work in a low income community, so to help you pay off your student loan. So anything that you can do to help deter the cost or sway the cost somewhere else is a good thing.
Okay. So Ursula, President Obama used the issues of students struggling with their loans as a key weapon during his re-election against the Republicans. Do you believe federal government stance on this issue can be drastically altered depending on political changes in the House of Representatives, the Senate, the White House?
I think young professionals aren't really taking a stand and understanding the kind of power that they wield when they stand up and speak up to their representatives. The Obama administration has presented many things like healthcare reform, which is something that's really targeted towards students, but there's really not enough being done about the student loan debt issue. It's affecting our wealth, it's affecting if we're getting married or not, it's affecting so many different things, and none of the parties, whether Republican or Democrat, have really taken a long, hard look at this to see how it's going to affect our generations to come.
Okay, and both of you, what advice do you give ultimately for our generation?
Know what you're signing. Know what student loans that you're signing up with, what the implications will be.
Okay. All right. So what?
And I would say for advice for young professionals, it's not just about getting a college education, but kind of being street smart as well. So reach out to as many professionals as you can possibly think of that are doing the things that you want to do, and ask real questions about getting yourself into those positions after college or even during college while you're interning.
Okay. Okay, so we here have Derek and Ursula, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, see how voting trends are changing.